All right. So starting out today, solving systems of linear equations. All right. The first one we kind of showed real quickly yesterday. Hey, yo, that's enough. Uh, the first one we showed real quickly yesterday, it's solving by graphing. And so if I have this set of equations, negative 3x plus 2y equals 8. And x plus 2y equals negative. Okay, and I'm told to solve the system of equations by graphing. What I'm wanting to look for is, once I graph these two equations, where do they meet? Where do they cross? Where do they meet? Okay? Do they meet at all? If they're parallel and they run side by side, they don't have a solution. Okay? If they meet in one spot, they do have a solution. So how do we graph an equation? It goes back to the first semester today. Anybody remember? Okay, we need to get the equation into slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so you need to get y by itself on both equations. Okay, so let's start with that first equation. Okay, so if I want to solve for y on this equation here, negative 3x plus 2y equals 8, to get y by itself, the first thing I need to do is add 3x to both sides. Okay, so the first thing I add is the 3x to both sides. So I got 2y equals 3x plus 8. Second step, divide everything by the 2 so that the y gets completely by itself. So I have y equals 3 halves x plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. So as we've got that one, let's go ahead and graph it. So you start when you're graphing at the y-intercept, which is the number that's by itself, so the 4. So you go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and you put a dot. Questions so far? Now what's my slope? 3 over 2. So that means I go up 3 and to the right 2, but I don't have enough space to go up 3 on mine. So what else can I do? Down 3. 1, 2, 3, and then to the left 2. All right, so there's my graph for that equation. Everybody okay with that? Okay, the second one, x plus 2y equals negative 8. Okay. First step, to get the y by itself, I need to move the x to the other side. So subtract x from both sides. So you get 2y equals a negative x minus 8. And then the second step, again, is to divide by 2. And then remember on this x, that's a negative 1 in front of the x. So it's going to be a negative 1/2 x. And then negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. The same process on the blue one. What is your y-intercept? Negative 4. And then the slope says I go down 1 and to the right 2. But I can't go down any, so I go up 1 and to the left 2. Up 1 and to the left 2. So from there, I'll get my line a little bit better next time, but where they end up intersecting is your solution, which is this point right here. And what are the coordinates of that point? You always do the left first, so negative 1, 2, 3, 4. That's my x. And then negative 2. So there's the solution to that system of equations solving by graphing. Questions on that piece? We're all good. All right. So sometimes though you can't really solve by graphing because the answers may kind of be in the middle of two numbers instead. It'd be like 1.2. You don't really know where 1.2 is, and so we have to do other methods. So one of those methods is to solve using substitution. So here's the system I want you to solve using substitution. We'll talk about what that means. All right, real quick, let's talk about the definition of substitution. What does that mean? When you hear the word substitution, what does that mean? Replacing. Okay. A lot of the people, and yesterday when we were talking about this, talked about like if you sub somebody in basketball, you're replacing somebody. Okay. I think that in football, if you take out a running back, what are you going to sub in normally? Another running back. Okay. You're not going to put a lineman normally in the tailback position. Okay, it does happen, but not always. In math, you have to replace it with something that's equal to. Okay, you can't just replace something that's close to. It's got to be equal to. So, what substitution tells us, we're going to try to figure out what one of the variables is equal to, and then replace that variable in the other equation. And so, what I'm going to look at is, I need one of the variables by itself. And that y right there is pretty close to being by itself. To get it by itself, what would I have to do? I have to get rid of that 2x, right? So let's do that. Let's subtract 2x from both sides. And that says that y equals negative 2x plus 10. Okay. So I don't know an exact value for y yet, but I do know what y is equal to. So from there, I'm going to take that value for y, and I'm going to replace y in the first equation. So in that first equation, I'm going to replace y with negative 2x plus 10. So I'll rewrite that over here. 3x plus 4, and where y is, I need to put negative 2x plus 10 equals 12. variables do I have in the equation at this point? I just have one. I have the x in that red equation. Okay, so I can now solve for x and figure out what x is equal to. So let's do that. 3x. Distribute the 4. What's 4 times negative 2x? Negative 8x. Good job. 4 times 10? Hey, y'all. 4 times 10 is 40. And then the 12 stays on that other side. So all I'm doing is distributing that 4 to the stuff that replaced y. And then I can combine like terms. So what is 3x minus 8x? Negative 5x. Good job. Okay, and I'll go ahead and subtract the 40 from both sides on this one. So 12 minus 40 is negative 28. Okay, now how do I finish solving for x? Divide by negative 5. So x equals negative 28 divided by negative 5 is a positive 5.6. Questions so far? All right. So we found what the x value is. Now we need to go back and find what y is equal to. So what I'm going to do now is take the x value and replace it here to get y. So y equals negative 2 times 5.6 plus 10. And I just evaluate the rest of this equation. Negative 2 times 5.6 is negative 11.2. And negative 11.2 plus 10 is negative 1.2. So my solution is x, which is 5.6, comma y, which is negative 1.2. So if I would have tried to graph that equation, there's no way I could have figured out exactly where that point was without having a calculator and using some buttons in there. And so sometimes we need that extra math. All right, what questions do we have on that? Everybody at least see what the process is there? Yes. Yep. Just don't use the phrase that's too much.
No.
Okay, I didn't want to knock off your day. Okay. A reminder that this is just giving you kind of a heads up for a pretest. I'm not trying to teach you this skill completely, but I did want to give you something about it. So that you don't go into the pretest just completely blank. Hey, y'all. All right, let's do the same thing with this one real fast. Still solving using substitution. So remember, to start out with substitution, the first thing we need to do is figure out which variable is the easiest to get by itself. Okay? So, which equation should be the easiest to solve for a variable, the first one or the second? Second, because the variables are already kind of by themselves. So which variable would be easiest to solve for? The correct answer is either one. It doesn't matter. They're going to be the same. Okay? As far as ease of solving. Okay? So let's solve for x this time. So to get x by itself, I would subtract y from both sides. So x equals a negative y minus 12. So what's the next step? I'm going to replace the x this time, because that's what I solved for, with that negative y minus 12 in the first equation. So 2 times what x is equal to, which is negative y minus 12, minus 3y equals 6. So I just replaced that first equation with the x equal to negative y minus 12. Right. What's the next step? Distribute. 2 times negative y is negative 2y. 2 times negative 12 is a minus 24. Minus 3y equals 6. Next step, combine like terms. Negative 2y minus 3y is negative 5y. And then I'm going to add the 24 to both sides also in this step. So negative 5y equals 30. Negative 5y equals 30. And then to get y, I divide both sides by negative 5. Y equals negative 6. Alright. What's the next step? Because we're not done yet.
You put the negative 6 where the negative y one is supposed to.
Yeah, take that negative 6, and I got to plug it back into the y over here, so I can solve for x. So y equals negative 6. I'm going to plug in for this y here. So x equals negative of negative 6 minus 12. You know, since y was negative 6 and y was already negative, I needed to put both negatives there. So this says x is 6 minus 12, which is equal to negative 6. So my solution is negative 6, negative 6. Okay. Question. Okay. We still got 10 minutes, so don't stop yet. All right. So that's solving systems using substitution. Okay. So as we get into the pretest, you at least know what that's asking you to do. The next kind is solving using elimination. Solving using elimination. So if that's the process, what sort of elimination mean? Get rid of. Somebody said earlier to kill off something. No, elimination. So what we're trying to do with elimination is we're trying to get rid of one of the two variables. We're trying to eliminate one of the variables. And so if we start out with this problem here, 4x plus 2y equals 9. And negative 4x plus 3y equals 16. Okay, hey, y'all, the conversations need to stop. Okay, and we're not. We still have 10 minutes. There's no reason for y'all to be putting everything away at this point. Okay. Hey. If you're in the middle of class, you are not to start putting your computers away. They should be closed up, Najee. But they should not be getting put away in the middle of class. Okay? That's the same as y'all just talking to each other, because it gets even louder if you do that. Okay. If we're solving using elimination, what we're trying to do is we're trying to add the two equations together, and when we do that, to eliminate a variable. So in this problem, notice the coefficient on the x. The first one is a 4, the second one's a negative 4. What happens if I add a 4x and a negative 4x? They cancel out. It gives me 0. Okay? So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to get one of the variables to be the same with the number 4 in this case, but one be positive, one be negative. Okay? So since there's already one like that, I'm just going to add the two equations together. That eliminates the 4x. 2y plus 3y is 5y. 9 plus 16 is 25. And then I can solve for y by just dividing both sides by 5. So I found what y was equal to. Similar to substitution, once you find one of the variables, you got to substitute it back in to get the other one. So let's do the first one up there. 4x plus 2 times 5 equals 9. So 4x plus 10 equals 9. And subtract 10 from both sides. 4x equals negative 1. Divide by 4, x equals negative 1/4. So my solution is negative 1/4, 5. So once you find that first variable, you still got to go back and substitute in to get the second one. Question. So, today we talked about solving systems of equations by graphing. So you look for where they intersect. Solving systems by substitution, which means you got to get a variable by itself and then substitute that value back in. And then elimination. We're going to look at another elimination problem tomorrow and then go to inequalities. And then on Friday we'll do the quiz. Tomorrow, you will not need your laptops tomorrow anymore. Because tomorrow we start out with deer time, which means you will need a book to read. A reminder for those of y'all that didn't hear it yesterday, if you choose not to read during deer time, you will get a detention where you get to listen to me read to you for 15 minutes at school. And if you choose not to come to that, it'll be a write-up showing the referral. Okay?
So what we doing tomorrow?
Right, we're going to continue working on some of this stuff. And once we've done your time, we're working on this. And then tomorrow's Thursday. On Friday, we'll do the pre-test. So you should not need your laptops the rest of the week. Questions on that? All right. y'all, pretty good job, all except for like one person on their phones today. So I appreciate that. Make sure on the math facts that you keep working. You don't just stop working and give up on it. And then I will try to get this. I'll try to get this video uploaded during fourth period today, and see if it'll work for y'all. And so I'll put it into Echo, and we'll see how that goes. You shouldn't need one just to look at the videos that I've done. Once I get to that, I have not looked into it that far. I've just shown you videos for how to do stuff. Right. So at this point, I'm just linking videos in. I'm working on seeing how to get Miss Ryder's actually gonna work with me on setting that up. Setting up some Khan Academy assignments and stuff. All right.